All right, we give praise, esteem, and honor to live in Alahym. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. Picking up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me. And you would not come to me that you might have life, or receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come in my Abba's name, you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, whom you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, to whom you trust. Had you believe Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my word? Shalom, my G. So, praise be to the living Alahym. Let's pick it up in Psalms chapter 5. I remember there was a time in my life where cranberry juice repulsed me. That is no longer the case. Psalm 5 and 1. Give ear to my words, O Yahuwah. Consider my meditation. Hearken to the voice of my cry, my King, my Alahym, for unto you will I pray. Now, I think y'all know that the word meditation also means to meditate, also to growl. I shall give you the word. And it is, you got to forgive me because my phone broke. A gag means to whisper, musing, murmuring, but more important, musing. Because, of course, if you muse, that's something that you're thinking upon. That is hey, that is Gamal, that is Yad, that is Gamal. So, considering that we have double Gamals, let's take a look. On screen. That's another reason why I got to take right off, because I got to go get the screen changed. That's not even up for debate. So, of course, you know that lift, carry, pride, messenger, walk, gather. But when we're looking at thought, something that you're musing upon, notice that he says that, well, this one, we got to take this in that is murmuring, because it's the utterance of speech. So we want to take lift, and maybe walk. We could say messenger, but we won't lift. We're going to have to take hey, and we're going to have to go in a different direction. And this one here, we wanted to be able to look for the ability to reveal. And what are we sit back looking to reveal? The messenger. And so it's the lifting up by reason of supplication of the actions of the messenger in order for them to be received of Yahuwah. Now, it's asked to hear the voice of his cry. Let's go back to verse 3 of Psalms 5. It says, voice shall you hear in the morning, O Yahuwah, in the morning I will direct my prayer unto you and will look up. So, with that being said, as we come over here, let's look at Matthew 27. We're not finna verse spake Yahushua, and he lifted up his eyes to heaven and said, well, what did he say? Of course, he said, Abba, the hour has come, esteem your son, that your son may also esteem you, and you have given him power over all flesh. So, y'all already know this, that he has been given power over all flesh. How we know he was given all power over all flesh? Because Adam was given power over all flesh. Jacob, when his name was changed, insinuates to the fact that there was a giving of power over all flesh. Let's continue. And that he should give eternal life as many as you have given him. And this is life, that they may know you, the only true Alahym, and Yahushua HaMashiach, whom you have sent. I have esteemed you on the earth. I have finished the work which you have gave me to do. Now, we're just going to look at some of the elements again of what this man prayed about in this 17th chapter of John. When we get to verse 6, He begins to talk about those who he has manifested his name to. We really ain't talking about the name of the Father. He has manifested these names, and they have kept that word. Now, I want you to come back over here to Psalms 5 and 4, because now I'm going to have to do it right now. Psalms 5 and 4. Hello. It says, "For you are not a Alahym that have pleasure in wickedness, and neither shall evil dwell with you. The foolish shall not stand in your sight. You hate all workers of iniquity, and you shall destroy them that speak leasing. Yahuwah will abhor the bloody and deceitful man." So this passage is letting you know off the top that Alahym has no pleasure in anyone. When we look at pleasure, of course, you know this is kafats. This is not anything that he delights in. This is not anything he takes pleasure in. It's not anything that he desires. See, people don't like to deal with that. Like they say, oh, no, this man that takes no pleasure and delight. See, Paul, Malachi chapter 3. See that? And you can hold John 17. See, this is what a lot of people's problem is. See, a lot of people think that Yahuwah delights in wickedness. See, and I had a couple of people that had asked my opinion on that situation that happened in Ohio, and it's highly unfortunate. But one of the things that I've seen has been totally grossly overlooked in that whole situation and circumstance is the actions of the black man. See, this situation came, but instead he decided to engage in degeneracy, not bring order. I don't care if two girls came over there to dump his daughter. How in the world do you allow to spiral? Oh, and you're supposed to be a ruler. You're supposed to be the one who people look to. If anybody is responsible for his own neighborhood, she may have not gotten shot. Because I'm not going to run and look at no little girls and say that they should have been able to govern themselves, nor am I looking at the police talking about they should have came in and governed the situation. I'm going to look at this black man and ask myself, why did this black man allow this situation to spiral out of control to the point that he had to watch his child die on the pavement, and then had the nerve and audacity to say, oh, she was just a child. Well, if she was just a child, nigga, why didn't you regulate children like a man is supposed to? Why did you not moderate and rein in this situation as a man is supposed to? And we will sit back and we will allow that degeneracy to get a pass to be able to go at Mr. Charlie. See, somebody had said to me earlier, and I understand their viewpoint. It was like, well, if that was a white person, that wouldn't have happened. See, I've told y'all this before. I have no expectations to receive the same treatment from Caucasians as they extend to Caucasians, simply for the fact that I'm not Caucasian. I'm not a part of the ruling class of this particular land. So why would I expect for them to extend the same mercy and compassion unto me? That's even if I don't even know the word. I'm not expecting that from them. I would not disgrace my manhood nor the memory of my grandfather or my father by uttering out the mouth, you wouldn't do a white man like that. That's disgrace to them. I'm not white. When I open my mouth and say that, I'm saying subconsciously that I have a desire to be white. I have a desire to be something that I'm not, because I yearn to be able to get the things that they have and to be looked upon as they have. I am not those things. I'm a stranger and a pilgrim on the earth, and I desire a country which is not of this earth. So therefore, I do not seek the solace and comfort from people who cannot save me. Nevertheless, yeah, I get that too. I understand that too. That she could have possibly killed somebody else's child. I also understand of that, and this is something I told Dee earlier, is that the difference between men and women, because a lot of women and a lot of feminine men or beta men are looking for the police officer to be nurturing and this, that, then the third, when men are taught to eliminate threats. Because at the end of the day, a police officer is a warrior. He may be a low-level warrior, but he is the warrior nonetheless, because he's trained in the art of fighting. And nobody wants to deal with that. Men who are warriors don't come to reason. They see threats and they eliminate them. You don't have to like it, but that's just the reality of life. You expect, oh, they're supposed to protect and serve. That's just a narrative, baby. That's just a narrative. You got to shake that narrative. You're believing in a fantasy world. Because I told my people earlier, told my homeboy earlier, like, hey, at the end of the day, if I was black and we ruling, I know full well that black people are not going to extend the same compassion to white folks. Not because you're so angry at white folks, you're in the ruling class. You're not going to treat a subservient class as equal to you. No one has done that in the history of mankind. You can study it. Our culture is the only culture that says that somebody who is a stranger as you are, so shall the stranger be. Our culture is the only culture to tell you to treat somebody who lives in your land equal to you. And even Solomon didn't do that on a financial tip. He taxed them people. You couldn't be taxed. And even on certain areas, it still ain't equal because you can charge interest on a loan to a stranger. You can't do it to your brother. So don't sit there and think that you're going to have some type of equal treatment when somebody dwells in the land. See, well, they didn't get that land. So what? They conquered it. You conquered yours, nigga. You conquered the land of Canaan. We got to get out this fantasy world and think about this here. What type of world you niggas not living in reality? Because when you conquer a land, you set that land, you rule it. That's the bottom line. We already had this conversation. We conquered Canaan. You went to war. Blood was shed for you to take Canaan. The people that just didn't turn over and say, here, take this land. There was blood shed for that. And the people had to be in subjection unto you after that. They had to be hewers of wood and drawers of water. They were your servants. That's just the reality of how life goes. But see, you have a fantasy because of movies and TV that everybody's supposed to work in unison as one happy big family and everybody get treated the same. I'm here to tell you, it's a lie. It's not the truth, baby. That's not how it goes down. That's not reality. Deal with it. That's our problem. We don't want to deal with reality. And like I said, screw the police. There was a black man standing right there, and he allowed degeneracy to persist, and he participated in it. If anyone should be chastised, it should be him. It should be him. Because if we're going to say we leaders of the household and we want to be looked at this particular type of way, then you're going to have to conduct yourself like one. And you can't get past the degeneracy because the police get involved. That nigga's a degenerate. Any man who can participate in the physical assault of a young woman is a degenerate. And Yahuwah don't deal with degenerates. Let me give you the definition of degenerate. Ma'am, you're being rude. And the main reason why the degenerate is on my mind, because I had these looking at the Montreal school job. Of course, if you don't watch wrestling, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But that is how Degeneration X came about, because Bret Hart called them a degenerate. A degenerate is someone who lacks some property, order, or distinctnesses of structure. So when you're living with a degenerate, this is someone who has no order and no structure. Obviously, someone who is adverse to chaos, also an immoral or corrupt person. When you're morally corrupt, then guess what you're going to be? You are a degenerate because you have no order, you have no chaos, which means you are the devil. And I'm not going to come on this here, oh, we black. Because I already told you I'm not pro-black, I'm pro-Yahuwah. So I don't care about none of that. Degeneracy is degeneracy, and wickedness is wickedness, irregardless of who does it. Nevertheless, Malachi chapter 3, verse 13. Your words have been stout against me, saith Yahuwah. Yet you say, what have we spoken so much against you? You have said, it is vain to serve Alahym. What profit is that we have kept his ordinance, that we have walked mournfully before Yahuwah of hosts, and now we call the proud happy, and yea, they that work wickedness are set up, they that tempt Alahym are even delivered. That's the world that we live in now. That you say that people who work wickedness who tempt Alahym are delivered, and that they that work wickedness, he sets them up. Let's look at set up in this passage. What does it mean to be set up? I have to hammer this home because this man don't take no delight in no sin. After this, Malachi, we're going to swing over here to Galatians chapter 2. But let's look at what he means when he say, and then and those who work wickedness, they are set up. What are they set up for? Oh, that's They just jump around. So it's weird. And that is for the setup is banah. They're built. So you're sitting back saying that he is establishing people for this purpose. That somebody can be wicked. And let's look at wicked and see which word for evil that is used here for wickedness. And it is risha. This is someone who is dealing in wickedness or guilt. They have a fault. People who do things that this man finds faulty, you're saying he's building them to do it. Before we go over that here, Matthew 15 before Galatians chapter 2. So we have to sit back and look at this here. You really think who are building people up to do this type of stuff? We didn't talk about this before. That man told you to be wary of the sword. He told you the children of wickedness are made for the sword. And that's a hard pill that most of us don't want to sit back and swallow. That a lot of people who we see get gunned down, whether it be by the police or a regular black man in the street, it could have been this whole purpose because that whole family bloodline was wicked and you who had determined many, many moons ago to take them out. Remember, we didn't talk about that before. Remember when he told Ahab that I'll kill everybody who piss against the wall? And he meant what he said. He didn't tell you how he was going to do it. See, that's a harsh real. See, I didn't want you to understand your Alahym. He ain't nobody to be played with, nor be disrespected, nor bucked. And when he tell you he gonna get you out of here, you don't get to see. This is the reality of that whole situation in Ohio. When you make choices and decisions, there's consequences to your choices and decisions, and you do not get determined how the consequences come. You do not get to determine that. See, most people looking at them people came to jumper, and they very well may have. But the minute that you went in the house and you went and got a knife, you made a conscious decision. And that conscious decision had a consequence that she did not get to determine. Because you went at somebody with that knife. Once you did that, you had made a decision. This is the consequence of it. See, this is what situations and circumstances you have to look at. This is not to absolve this person of this or this person of that. It's to understand, for you to understand that there are consequences for the decisions that you make. And you don't get to determine how they come. See, our problem is you want to make bad choices and then to determine the consequence of your bad choice. And you can't do that. Because 9 times out of 10, the situation for the escalation of a fight between these young children came from bad choices and decisions that each one of them young girls made by getting greasy out the mouth. I can guarantee you that. Because that's what led to that point. You have to look at what got to the point where these young kids are fighting in the yard. Choices and decisions that each one of those young persons made. That's why our people out of line. I told somebody this earlier today. I've told y'all this before. Our people have been led by women for the last 30 to 40 years, and this is the result of what you get. A bunch of beta males, a bunch of feminine males, men who will not lead, men who look to women to lead. The women are looking to the men to lead, yet they're in the process. And whether it's man, woman, or child, we're all making faulty decisions, and we're looking for somebody else to blame for our bad decisions. What? That men are going to have to start making better decisions and not fool with women who choose to continually make bad decisions. Matthew chapter 15, verse 12. I know it's harsh, but I know what it is. This is stuff your daddies and your granddaddies should have told you if they hadn't told you if you had them. I thank the Lord. Every adult that I came in contact with in my blood family all told me that, son, there's consequences for your actions and you have to take responsibility for them. So there is no one to blame. I could believe that, Eric. Shoot, I've been locked up. And I definitely done seen where men do not want to accept the reality of the coming consequences for the choices that they make. Makes me think about every time I tell you about that young boy I was locked up with for carjacking at 19 years old, and them folks gave him 25 years, and he thinking the people supposed to let him go home. But sir, you up fire on a woman and snatched her out of her vehicle and drove off with it. You're not going home. See, most of us look at, oh, they black. That's why they doing like, oh, we know they overwhelmingly sentence black men longer than they sentence Caucasians. But at the end of the day, who determines these sentences? He that sits in heaven and observes all the oppression in the province. He observes all the violence in the province. See, that's the part that we want to negate. Remember, he said, out of all the families of the earth, I have not known them. I've known you. He said, therefore, I punish you for all your. Come over here to Amos 3 if you don't know what I'm talking about. So you wondering why you get all that time, because Yahuwah say you're going to get all that time. Because I don't know them. I don't know them. I know you, nigga. This is what you doing. I don't care about what they do. Them not my turn. See, oh, we don't want to have that one there. That means we're going to have to take accountability. Amos 3 and 1, we're going to have to take accountability. Because that's what that Amos 3 is about. It's about accountability. It ain't about just you knowing you an Israelite. See, he only known us. And that's why he popping you across your skin, nigga. Amos 3 and 1. Hear this word that you have spoken against you, O sons of Yasharal, and against the whole family, which I brought up from the land of Israel. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. Oh, no. See, you know what that is? That's not an Alahym that take pleasure in wickedness, nor will dwell with it. That's why he put you out his land. Because he's not living with that. See, you know what the thing is we've been so accustomed to people dwelling in wickedness that you think Alahym's supposed to dwell with it too. That man don't stamp that. Come on back here to Matthew chapter 15, verse 12. That man don't stamp that. That man don't agree with it. He don't want nothing to do with it. He's not going to pat you on your back for it. It repulses him. It's an abominable thing in his eyesight. The man say all that do unrighteously is an abomination unto him. That's in your law. That man say he finds those who don't do what is just to be reprehensible and detestable. And it's not according to what we think is just. He has already determined what is just. But let's continue. Matthew 15 and 12. Then came his disciples and said unto him, know you that the Pharisees were offended after they heard this saying? But he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father have not planted shall be rooted up. So guess what? If it's being rooted up, I mean, he didn't build it. Because if you go backwards in this Matthew 15, he went to talking about how these people were changing Alahym's commandments to upload their traditions. That man said, well, I don't build you in that. I'm not building you up in your wickedness, and you certainly not blessed if you're proud. See, these are hard conversations we want to hear. That short clip of that young woman in Ohio magnified one thing about black people. You are out of order. You are chaotic, disorderly, dysfunctional people. And you think somebody's supposed to have some compassion on that junk. Ain't no way in the world no grown man supposed to sat there and watch them young girls act like that and have to call the police. I ain't gonna call no police about no young girl. I'm gonna get hold of that long for the police come. Especially if it's somebody who's well under my roof, I'll be damned. And I mean literally be damned if I can't get control of somebody who's well under my roof. Because they're not gonna be coming to pick these girls up for trying to fight. They're gonna be coming to pick her up for not obeying me in my household. Because she gonna have to go. But of course he would not be able to do that because he was participating in it. The niggas are degenerate. See, I know a lot of people, you want us to focus on the police. I don't care nothing about that white man. It'd be different if it wasn't no grown man standing out there. I watched this grown man kick this young girl dead in her head 2 times. Nigga should have shot him. Because he the one supposed to be protecting and guiding and leading these young girls in this household. And he was not doing that. Why should he be allowed to live? This is why I told y'all young men this here last week. If Yahuwah gives you the opportunity and the honor by allowing your quiver to be full of arrows, more specifically to be full of arrows of men, children. Of men, children. You got to remember, before he took the Levites, all the firstborn males of the womb belonged to Yahuwah. Well, that's an honor. And we have to take more control of it so your sons don't grow up to be like that buster nigga in that video. You know what I'm talking about? See, we have to drop the mentality of, oh, you can put your hands on my children, we going at it. That's animalistic, degenerate activity. That's degenerate activity. We have to drop that junk. That's nigga talk. That's hood talk. That's degenerate activity. That degenerate activity is why that young girl laying in the street dead. That's degenerate activity. You have to shed that junk. You can't bring that in the house of Alahym and think he gonna take it. That man say, "Hey, wrath rests in the bosom of fools." He say the wrath of man don't work the righteousness of Alahym. That's degenerate activity. You mean to tell me as a man that you don't have enough control over your faculties and situations to be able to dictate something? That the first thing that we're going to teach a young man to do is to be able to solve all issues and problems by getting physically violent? When physical violence is supposed to be the last recourse of all situations, unless someone is threatening your person or threatening the persons of women in your household. Not just to say women, random women. I'm talking about women in your household. That means your son is protecting his mother and his sisters, aunts and cousins, or women in the word who are under that stewardship and the man who had authority and was not present. See, if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. But this nigga thinking, that nigga thinking got to go. It got to go. It ain't acceptable and it ain't right. Back to John 17. And we ain't finna stamp it and co-sign it. Absolutely, and that's what I'm referring to, Sean. I'm going to protect my daughter. I'm going to take my daughter. My daughter going in the house. See, she's not going to be able to run out here with no knife or no hands or nothing. She's going to go in the house. At the bare minimum, if she don't want to stay in the house, then I'm going to put her in the house, and I'm going to stay in the house till they get there. And the little girls can stay outside on the street. And if they want to throw rocks and windows and all that, well, they just writing their own arrest warrant. But what I'm not going to do is allow a child to remain in a volatile situation where violence is inevitable. That's just not a man. The first thing a man is supposed to do is protect those under his stewardship, not allow them to be able to participate in degeneracy and then participate in it with him. That day he showed himself not to be a man. I know people don't want to hear that, but that's just what it was. He didn't show himself to be a man that day, and it cost that young girl her life. Yeah, it's his fault. That's when you put that accountability on. You put it on that man. You want to come in the house and say you the man and women should submit and obey? Well, guess what? With great responsibility. I mean, with great, where has the Lord put it? Too much is given, much is required. You want that power? Responsibility come with that power. What you gonna do with it? What you gonna do with it? You want rule, authority, and power? Responsibility come with that. That's why the text tell you, he that rule amongst men must be just. You got to be righteous, or you ain't fit to rule. Nevertheless, when we come back out here in John 17, of course, you know in verse 14, he begins to state how he has given them your word, and the world has hated them, and that he prayed for you to be set apart. And these are things that we didn't talk about before. And of course, for you to be making one with him. This is what he looked up early in the morning in that Psalms 5 and prayed to Alahym that he would hear the murmuring of his lips. That's what he lifted up to him. And of course, you know, who accepted those words. Back to Psalms 5, though. One thing we're not going to do, if we're going to be people of righteousness, then you have to sit back and you have to be able to have a just weight and a just balance. You can't be moved off emotion and react like niggas do. You have to say, remember what the Lord told you, don't judge according to appearance, judge righteous judgment. How would the Lord judge? That's what you have to ask yourself. Well, he's going to judge it according to the word. And there was everything that was not right going on in that situation and circumstance. How could he stamp it? How could he stamp it? He can't. And if he can't, I can't. Now listen, right? He said neither will evil dwell with him, because that's why I mentioned that, right? You know the John 14, you know the John 17, Father, make them perfect in one as we are. Let's come over here to 1 John chapter 3 for the dwell. Matter of fact, 1 John chapter 5. You might read chapter 3, but 1 John chapter 5. I did thank the Lord. The word is right. Yahuwah is just, righteous altogether. And that's why people don't always like his word, because his word is not always going to jive with the narrative. And if you're going to roll with the word, you can't always go with the popular sentiment. This is why I stated that you can't be pro-black, you have to be pro-Yahuwah. In order to be pro-black, you'll have to compromise righteousness to be pro-black. Because that means if you pro-black, you pro anything black people do, even when they're wrong. Even when they're wrong. And you can't do that. Not in serve Yahuwah. You can do it, but you can't serve Yahuwah. 1 John chapter 5, verse 17. All unrighteousness is sin, and there is a sin not unto death. We know that whosoever is born of Alahym sin not, but he that is begotten of Alahym keep himself, and the wicked one touch him not. And we know that we are of Alahym, and the whole world lie in wickedness. Remember, he is not of Alahym to have pleasure in that, nor does he dwell with it. So remember, John 14 say, he that keep my commandments, he said, and love me, he said, I will come and make my abode with him and my Abba also. This is why he told you that wickedness come from the heart. It's not what go in, but what come out. He can't dwell there. 1 John 3 and 9 again now. Make it 3 and 5. He can't dwell there. That's the part that none of us want to look at. He can't dwell in that. He's not going to do it because he don't take pleasure in it. That's why that Psalm 66 and 18 says, if I delight in iniquity, he will not hear me. That's why he could accept the Son. The Son didn't delight in any wickedness he seen. No, that's why people keep it. He hung with sinners. No, he didn't hang with sinners. He taught sinners. You get it right. You sitting here trying to make it seem like the true and living God is hanging with wickedness. That's how perverted we are to justify our perversion. That man's not dwelling with that. He will come seek you out and give you the information to bring you out of that. But he's not going to sit there and kick it with you. You're asking him to go against himself. He only did that one time, but a contradiction of sinners against himself when he hung himself on that tree. Because that man said, if you walk contrary to him, you better believe he walking contrary to you. See, again, we mentioned all of these things, and I'm not mentioning these things for no other reason, not just for y'all, because I know most of you already know this. This is for the understanding that our Father in heaven is esteemed and that his name is honored and reverenced everywhere that we go. And people understand and know who he is, how he operates, and what he is about. But that man ain't with none of this folly these people trying to put on his name. That man ain't with none of this. And we have to let people know that. That man ain't with this stuff. That man ain't with this stuff. That man ain't with none of it. You know the ugly part that most of our people are going to be shocked by? That on the day of judgment, more than likely, more than likely, 100% certainty, because we know that neither one of these men will live according to the word of Yahuwah, but one has an opportunity to repent if Yahuwah see fit to allow him to receive that grace and mercy. George Floyd going to be standing in the line, and he going to get tossed on the left-hand side to go into the lake of fire with the devil and his angels, and Derek Chauvin ain't going to be too far behind it. And a lot of people who've been cheering and happy right now going to be standing in line to get ready to go on that left-hand side right along with them. And they're not going to understand why. And you're going to find out because there was grace and mercy extended unto you. There was an everlasting offer of salvation extended unto you. And you thumbed your nose at it and say, I'm worthy to burn in hell. And I reject everlasting salvation and mercy. I deem myself unworthy. Nobody want to hear no tears. Nobody want to hear no crying. You find yourself worthy of death, you would say, well, so be it. I found you worthy of life, and you said no. He found you worthy of life, and you said no. Let that sink in your brain. Every person who turned down the word said, who found you worthy of life, and you said, I want to die. Psalm 5 and 6. He said, you shall destroy them that speak leasing. Yahuwah will abhor the bloody and deceitful man. I just want to refresh our memory what leasing is. And of course, that's kazah. That's people who tell lies. That's people who tell untruths, that speak falsehoods. He said he will destroy them that tell lies. Come over here to Revelation 22. See, Yahuwah hates all liars. I still got to read this 1 John, my bad. But get this Revelation 22. It's all good because it's going to work out the same. Thank the Lord. 22 and 14. Revelation 22 and 14. Baruch are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and they may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs, sorcerers, whoremongers, murderers, idolaters, and whosoever love and make a lie. I, Yahushua, have sent my Malachim to testify unto you these things in the houses. I am the root and the offspring of David and the bright and morning star. Notice he said those who love and make a lie. Y'all know what John 8:44 say. You have of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. For he was a murderer from the beginning and a liar and the father of it. So see, if you were Satan, see, you like to lie, you like to utter falsehood. You like to speak leasing. 1 John 3:4 says you got to understand that speaking leasing is to tell lies. We know when Yahushua was taken, the people lied on him, and they sent false witnesses to lie on him. Yahuwah hates those who speak falsehood. That's why he say, "All without those who love and loveth and make lies." See, you got some people who love to lie. You want to be careful with people like that. You don't deal with people who love to lie, because that means they believe they lies. They sick in the head, baby. You stay away from them. People who live in a delusional aspect, you can't do anything with them. 1 John 3:4, if you would. Whosoever commit sin, transgress also the law, for sin is transgression of the law. Y'all know what transgression is. That is rebellion. See, the thing is ever had anything positive happen when you rebelled. I'm not talking about making bad decisions. I'm talking about rebelling. I sit back and I think on my youth, I didn't rebel. You know what I'm saying? I took some calculated risks. I'm just not even gonna say that I just made bad decisions erroneously. Because anything that did not work out in the point that I desired it to, I took a calculated risk. I knew full well what the consequences could be, and I was willing to deal with the consequences if they went differently. Like I knew full well what the consequences of hustling could be. I didn't go in this, I'm gonna sell dope, ain't nothing gonna happen to me. I knew that was a calculated risk. I knew that. Matter of fact, I used to tell people when I was incarcerated, me coming to jail is an occupational hazard. It comes with the job. So therefore, I'm not going to cry about being here when it came with the job. I understood that. I accepted that. Many people don't accept the consequences of the decisions that they made because you didn't think about if the consequences thereof. You only want to tell yourself how good it could be. See, most people, when they rebel against the word of Yahuwah, they do not think about the consequences that could come from the rebellion. That's what most people get caught up in. I'm talking about people who know the word at this point. I ain't talking about people in the world who know the word. Most people who rebel against the word, they don't really understand there's a consequence with that. We don't like to look at things like that because people call it you being negative. No, you got to get them wicked niggas from around you. You have to get wicked people from around you. If somebody's telling you that you indeed not counting the cost, if you're not looking at the negative of a decision that you make or could make, and somebody's telling you, oh, that's being negative, you shouldn't think, get them from around you. Because for rational people, it's called weighing the pros and cons and making a calculated decision based off the pros and cons. Because every decision you make is not going to be life altering. Like we're talking about rebelling against the word of Yahuwah or selling drugs and getting in the street. That's a life altering decision. But everything you do, you have to look at the pros and cons. As Tavon put it more eloquently, you need to count the cost. See, remember in that Luke 14, he tell you, you got to count the cost if you got sufficiency to pay. Come over here and look at Luke 14 on general principle. 14 to 25. See, I thank the Lord. See, I counted the cost when this word came. That's why when he asked his apostles, when they said, can we sit on your right hand? He said, you got sufficient. You able to drink from the cup? You able to get baptized with them? You able to do that? He said, okay, bet. You know what I'm saying? No doubt. Look at it. 14:25. And then there went a great multitudes with him, and he turned and said unto them. Now he's talking to a large swath of people, not just his apostles. He's talking to a large swath of people. What would he tell them? If any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and sons and brethren and sisters and yea, his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. So now you have to go back. That goes back to our conversation about humility and the fear of Yahuwah, is honor, riches, and life. This person is going to have to look at and say, you know what? I'm willing to yield to you and forsake everything that could cause me to not yield to you. Everybody's not willing to pay that cost. Everybody's not willing to pay that cost right there. And I'm willing to forsake everyone I know for my husband. See, that's what a lot of women out here, that's why they ain't got no man. Because you don't want to forsake your family for your husband. That's why a lot of son husbands can't have no good operation with their wife, because you ain't willing to forsake everybody for your wife. See, Yahushua loved you enough to walk away from everything he had in heaven in order to come dwell with his wife so he could bring his wife back to him because she was estranged. Praise you. See, a lot of us ain't sitting back. He counted that call. He said, I can pay that. That's nothing. I can pay that. Can you pay it? Let's look at the next thing he said. Whosoever do not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which of you intending to build a tower and sit not down first and count the cost, whether he has sufficient to pay or have sufficient to finish it? Lest happily after he have laid the foundation, we just talked about foundation, and is not able to finish it, all that behold it began to mock it, saying this man began to build and was not able to finish. See, a lot of people come in his word and they get mocked. See, your friends and family, see, they waiting for you to sit back and mock you and say you wasn't able to finish the race. That's why, you know what? That's why sometimes when I put verses on there, I put still, because it still ain't changed. It still ain't changed. Ain't nothing changed. Ain't nothing changed. It's still Job 19:25. It's still Numbers 23 and 10. Ain't nothing changed. That's why I say you got to build your house upon a rock. Ain't nothing changed. I don't care what season come by. I don't care what weather come through. I don't care who leaves or who goes. It still stays the same. See, I just had to tell a young man that the other day. Stuff happen in your life and you get shook up and moved. Matter of fact, till Hebrew chapter 12. Till Hebrew chapter 12. I ain't got time for it. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I thought I was going to do 2 songs today. We only going to get one. I need to hurry up and get through Psalm 5 before my time expires. Hebrew 12, verse 25. Shoot, you can make it 23. Shoot, make it 22. Thank you. I didn't know you like to eat graham crackers. I didn't know you was Grammy. Really? I didn't know you was Grammy. But you are coming to Mount Zion, into the city of the living Alahym, heavenly Jerusalem, and to an innumerable company of Malachim, to the general assembly in the house of the firstborn, which are written in Shamahim, and the Alahym, judge of all, and the Ruachs of just men made perfect. And to Yahushua, the mediator of the new covenant, and the blood of the sprinkler that speak better things than that of Abel. See that you refuse not him that speak, for they escape not who refused him that spake on earth. How much more shall we not escape if we turn away from him that speak from Shamahim? Whose voice then shook the earth, but he had not promised, saying, yet once more I shake not the earth only, but also Shamahim. And this word yet once more signify the removing of those things that are shaken, as of the things that are made, that the things which cannot be shaken may remain. That which is making for the first heaven and the first earth gonna be moved. But the things that are of heaven, of the new heaven and the new earth, they shall remain. Which one are you? Which one are you? Praise Yahuwah. Back to 1 John chapter 3. Y'all bear with me. I just wanted to use that situation that occurred in Ohio as an understanding of why we must be orderly and functional and leading and rulership-minded men. Because the situation is unfortunate. But nevertheless, it all became because a man was not desirous to lead. We can want to sit back and point blame and this, that, and the third, but at the end of the day, if a man does his job, peace and safety abounds. And our men ain't doing their job. I told you this in the past. Ain't no sense around here blaming and pointing women. Men don't make excuses and point at women and say, well, she did and she did. You sit your cow behind down somewhere with that whole junk you pulling. And you stand up, nigga, let your nuts hang and you take accountability. Leaders wrong even when they ain't did nothing wrong. Because guess what? Yahushua wasn't wrong, but yet he stood up and took accountability for something that had nothing to do with him. Because Yahushua wasn't wrong, but yet he said, I'll be wrong so that they can be right. That's what you have to do if you're going to lead. If you ain't willing to do that, then sit your funky behind down somewhere. You know what I'm talking about? See, nobody don't want to hear that because that's just what it is. A leader's wrong even when he's right. That's what happened to Yahushua, but that's another conversation. Yeah, I don't want to drip down that road. Maybe Psalms 5 will take us down that road. We shall see. 1 John chapter 3, verse 5. And you know that he was manifested to take away our sins, and in him is no sin. Whosoever abide in him sin not. Whosoever sin have not seen him, neither known him. Little children, let no man deceive you. He that do righteousness is righteous, even as Yahushua is righteous. Let that be known. He that commits sin is of the devil, for the devil sinned from the beginning. And you know the first sin he told was a lie. That's why that man don't have no pleasure in wickedness, and he don't dwell with it. And he hates those who speak leasing or utter falsehood. That's why he hates Satan and all his offspring. And he abhors the bloody man. We'll get to that in a moment. He that commits sin is of the devil, for the devil sinned from the beginning. For this purpose, the son of Alahym was manifested that he might destroy the works of the devil, so that all lies might be destroyed. See, if you're dealing with Yahushua, lies can't exist. Only truth reigns. When we talk about truth, we talk about the Aman, the Amach, the Amuna, the righteousness of Alahym, the firmness, the steadfastness, the fidelity, the sureness of the word. That's the only thing that can exist. Let's continue. Whosoever is born of Alahym do not commit sin, for his seed, aka the word, remains in him. He cannot rebel because he's born of Alahym. That's what, again, I can take, because we talked about this about a couple months ago. When you hear transgression, you need to think about rebellion. Those who are born of Alahym do not rebel. What son you know rebel against his father? A hoe nigga, that's who. No grown man rebel against his daddy. I wouldn't care if he was 45 years old and his daddy was 82. He ain't going to rebel against the words of his father. Not no real man, not if his father's a man of honor and esteem. But I done told you that before. Most people look at it, I moved out my daddy's house, I ain't got to listen to him. He was a buster. Because number one, your daddy being a man of honor going to know you a grown man, you rule your house accordingly. But when your father asks you to do something, you're going to yield. Y'all remember that story in Jeremiah? These were grown men. And he told them, don't you dwell over there in that city. You will bless them because they held fast to the word of their father. See, this is what I mean when I tell you young men, you foreigners, you got sons, you're supposed to be gearing them up and rearing them up, that they trust and honor your leadership, guidance, and word, even after they depart out of your household. That's why I always tell you, sometimes, yeah, you got to go upside their head, but sometimes you don't want to go upside their head because you want them to be able to come to you if they get out of pocket. That's why Yahuwah don't always go upside your head, because he wants you to know that you can still come to him. Yeah, I'm going to straighten you. I'm going to chastise you. But I need you to know that if you make a bad decision, that you know you can come to me, that I can help you get out that bad decision, versus you fearing my wrath and you don't come seek my guidance. So you have to have that balance of knowing that, because you want your son to be able to come tell you, Dad, I made a bad move. What should I do? Without him wondering, is you going to spaz out on him? Because then he's not going to come holler at you. Because that's what a lot of people do when they get out here. And that's why when you see that about the prayer that David made about him being out of pocket. Because guess believe your father in heaven going straight. But you got to be able to, as I say in Hebrew, to know that there's mercy for you to come to seek help in the time of need. So there has to be a balance of how you chastise. Not that you don't, but how it's done. Because sometimes corporal punishment is necessary. Sometimes you're going to have to bust them dead upside their head. But you got to know the balance of, you know what, I need to talk to them. Because remember, your Alahym is an Alahym of consolation or comfort. So as a man, you have to have the skill and the ability to comfort not only your wife, but your children, even when they're out of pocket. More when I say out of pocket, let me not say out of pocket, when they're emotional. See, when our flesh is raging or whatever could cause it, because when your flesh is raging, I want you to understand, it's always not about you lusting after something. It could be worry, it could be anxiety, it could be whatever. His word does what? It should bring comfort to you if it comes to mind. Because sometimes your soul refuses to be comforted. There's a song that eventually we'll read where it will tell you this. You know what I'm saying? So that's a skill. And also, more importantly, it's an aspect of the character of your father. That's something that as men that we have to learn, the ability to make sure that we are men of comfort and men of consolation, as our Alahym is of comfort and consolation. AKA being masculine, because masculinity makes women feel safe. So if we're godly, people are supposed to feel safe. Not safe in wickedness. You understand what I'm telling you? I want you to say, nobody should be safe in wickedness. Let that be known. You know what I'm saying? But you have to look at this here, right? And as a man, we know we can't make excuses. Like, we can't be sitting like this here, man. But y'all brothers already know this because y'all doing what you're supposed to do. Because you're taking care of those who are under your charge. And you know what I'm talking about? And it's not nothing that you should be patting on your back for, because you're just doing what it is your duty to do. You understand? But at the same token, you are respected for it. Because y'all don't complain, you don't make excuses, you do what you got to do. Some men make excuses for not doing why they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And I see, like I told y'all last week, I done seen where y'all done came from, and you had responsibilities under your belt, and praise Yahuwah, and none of you boy folk. Some of y'all face some difficult situations, but again, praise Yahuwah, ain't none of you boy folk. That in itself lets you know you're not a lesser man. Definitely better than the average. These whole niggas folding left and right out here on these streets, dealing with regular life situations. Some of y'all done had extraordinary situations, and you did not fold. You may have bended a little bit. You may have got even a little bit wobbly. But praise Yahuwah, you ain't fold. Verse 10. And this the sons of Alahym are manifest, and the sons of the devil. Whosoever do not righteousness is not of Alahym, neither he that love not his brother. See, there is a difference. That man don't love no wickedness. Come on back over here, because I ain't got but 5 more verses. I want you to come over here to Psalms 5 and 7. Of course, you know he hates the bloody and deceitful man. The bloody and deceitful man. Remember, lies kill. That's why he told you that Satan was a murderer from the beginning. He said he hates, he abhors, he will destroy them who tell lies, and he hates them who are bloody and deceitful. That takes us back to Proverbs chapter 6. It wasn't all that. Take us back to Proverbs chapter 6, where he tell you that what? There's 6 things that Yahuwah hates, 7 are even an abomination. And what was it? The shedding of innocent blood and a man who tell lies. That man don't roll with that. So that's something that we have to sit back and look at. We can't give people who shed blood and tell lies. That man don't dwell with that. And neither does Yahushua. Let's continue. Psalms 5 and 7, because this is where we get to the point that we need to talk about. But as for me, I will come into your house in the multitude of your mercy, and in your fear will I worship towards your Kadash temple. Praise the Lord. You heard what he said, y'all? He said, for me, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to inquire in the multitude of the Kased. And he said that I will worship. I want you to look at worship. It's Shakad. I mean, it's to bow down, to show forth that he is superior in homage. That is Shan, Ka, and Hey. So you already know that Yahusha has spared you to be separated. As a matter of fact, you can see that Yahusha was consumed in order for you to be separated, because he showed you who was superior to him in homage. And just because of that, John chapter 4. I thank you. John chapter 14, what it is, verse 27. Is it 27 that I desire? We'll pick it up at 26. Make it 25. John 14. These things have I spoken of you, being yet present with you. But the Comforter, which is the Ruach HaKodesh, whom Abba will send in my name, he shall teach you all things, and to bring all things to your remembrance whatsoever I said unto you. Look what he said. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world gives, I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. I go back to what I'm talking about. Comfort. That's why he refers to the Ruach as a comforter. Because the word of Alahym brings comfort, because he is the Alahym of consolation. We talked about that probably about 4 or 5 months ago. He's the Alahym of comfort. That's why the wicked never have peace, because they can never get comfort, because he's not their Alahym. Their Alahym is Satan. He's an Alahym of disorder and confusion and destruction. See, lies don't bring comfort. Good lies seem to bring comfort until reality is made manifest. That's why people fight against the truth. That's why people fight against the truth. Because their comfort gets shaken up, because they realize they had no comfort. Let's continue. You have heard How I said unto you, I go away and come again unto you. If you love me, you will rejoice because I said I go unto my Abba, for my Abba is greater than I. And that takes us back to that John 17 where he was willing to humble himself to die because he was giving homage. See, if you want to give homage to Yahushua, you got to do just what we read in Luke 14. Take up your stake and follow him. Because you will be doing, in doing so, you're showing forth, you are prostrating yourself. You're showing that he is superior to you. That's why you're coming to this house and the multitude of his mercies and the greatness of his mercies, as we should say, and that you will worship Alahym in his house. His house is Yahushua. And in his fear, you will reverence him, you will honor him. We already seen talk about that loosely in John 17, so there's no need to continue. Psalms 5 and 8. Lead me, O Yahuwah, in your righteousness because of my enemies. Make your way straight before my face. So we know lead is Nakah. We talked about that before. Noon, Ka, and Hey. Again, Yahushua has separated you unto life because he is the way, the truth, and the life. You should follow him. That is what is going to lead you in the way of righteousness. What is righteousness? That is the dot, and that is your trust in Alahym. Most people do not have trust in Alahym. That's why he cannot lead them. And he said, because of his enemies. This is someone who has become an enemy or has become hostile. It is Shan, Rosh, and Raj. This is an individual who seeks to consume the son of Alahym. John chapter 6:16. Remember what you know what? We'll read both John 16 and John 15. Praise the Lord. We read it a little bit in that John 7. I mentioned it a little bit in John 7, but we'll read it again. John 6, my face or panim. You know, Darak is way, panim is the face or before. So you want your way to be directed before the face of Yahuwah, to be directed in the way of righteousness because of those who want to destroy the son of Alahym. He that despiseth not man but Alahym. John 16 and 1, these things have I spoken unto you that you should not be offended. They shall put you out of the synagogues. Hey, the time come that whosoever kill you will think that he do Alahym service. And these things will they do unto you because they have not known Abba nor me. But these things have I told you, that when the time shall come, you may remember that I told you of them. And these things I said not unto you at the beginning, because I was with you. That is a hard reality for many of us to accept. Back it up to the 15th chapter of the same book of John. Because hate your God, and therefore they hate you. Make it 22. John 15:22. If I had not came and spoken unto them, they had not had sin. But now they have no cloak for their sin. He that hate me, hate my Abba also. They have both seen and hated both me and my Abba. But this come to pass, that the word might be fulfilled that is written in their law. They have hated me without a cause. They have hated me without a cause. There was no rhyme. There was no reason. So remember, come back to Psalms 5. Lead me, O Yahuwah, in your righteousness because of my enemies. These people want to consume the son of Alahym, and they want to consume you because you dwell in him and he dwells in you. Remember, he says, the world cannot hate you. It's me that it hates because I testify of it, that its works are evil. The disagreeable. Let's continue in Psalms 5 and 9. He said, for there is no faithfulness in their mouth. Their inward part is very, their throat is an open sepulchre, and they flatter with the tongue. So, of course, when you look at faithfulness, there is no coon. They are inward part. Remember, right? He told you that he desired truth to dwell in the inward parts in Psalm 51. When we look at wickedness here, it's Hava. And that is something that is engulfing, ruin, destroying. Their throats are as the grave. And that is Kavar, which y'all know that's a grave, a tomb, and a womb. So think about that. Yahushua told you in John chapter 6, verse 63, the words that I speak unto you, they are ruach and they are life. He just told you when it comes to the wicked, that there is no faithfulness in their mouth. These people are not established. That goes back to the stuff that he was talking about the scribes and the Pharisees. That they didn't have the words that they speaking were not established, and their end is very wicked, or their inward parts, excuse me, is full of calamity and destruction, and that their throats are literally a open grave. And then, of course, when they say the flatter with the tongue, that take you to good old Judas and the scribe, good master, and all that type of stuff. That's one thing I noted when I got in this word, started dealing with this word. If I ran across a group and they were over the top with flattery, oh boy, you know this, you know that, I said, yeah, that's probably. Because most godly men, first thing a godly man gonna do is they gonna pray to Yahuwah for the word he done given you. They ain't gonna come with all that flattery to you. Ain't no godly man gonna do that. For what? Ain't even gonna need to flatter you because he gonna want to esteem because he gonna acknowledge you. We are the same crew. So ain't no need for me to esteem you. I'm gonna esteem the person who sent you. See, we don't pay attention. I told you we got low self-esteem. We be looking for flattery. Verse 10, Psalms 5. Destroy you them, O Alahym. Let them fall by their own counsels, cast them out in the multitude of their transgressions, for they have rebelled against you. Now, this is dealing with let his blood be on our children's children, because they fell by their own counsel. That's Mosah. That's counsel, plan, principle, and device. Meme, ayin, sod, and hey. And what was their counsel? Counsel was to kill the man. You could see it in Matthew 26. And he said, cast them out in the multitude of their transgressions, for they have rebelled against you. They said, we have no king but Caesar. They rebelled against the man. He said they'd rather have the praise of men than the praise of Alahym. Yahushua said, how can you believe we seek honor one from another and not the other? But listen to verse 11. But let all those that put their trust in you rejoice, and let them ever shout for joy, because you defend them. Let them that also love your name be joyful in you. For you, Yahuwah, will bless the righteous. With favor will you compensate. This is acceptance. Well, you're accepted in the beloved. He said, let all those that put their trust in you rejoice. If you have Batak in Alahym, this one here don't have Batak. It has Kasah, which is, again, to put trust in Alahym, hope. But if you can't see it, then you wait for it. He said, you defend them. And although that love your name are joyful in you, which he said about his apostles, I've given you, manifested your name, and they have believed that I've come out from you. Everybody who believes in Yahushua, as the scriptures have said, has rejoicing in their heart. Those who don't, well, I guess you know. But hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. I appreciate y'all time this evening. Bless y'all, the house of Alahym, in the name of Yahushua. We will pick up another psalm, Yahuwah permit, on Shabbat. Of course, there's still a continuing process of what this psalm, the verse in that psalm is, which I think for the songs that we have on deck will definitely continue to point that point out. He is not an Alahym that takes delight in wickedness, and he certainly is not going to have that dwell in his house. But just sit back, wait, and consider. You who are willing, we'll pick it up on Shabbat, make it do what it do. Oh, you ready to get in my camera, aren't you? Yes, yes, you are. And you who are willing, we'll pick it up on the next one. Okay, I think they got. Did you think they got the point?